Well, what happened was that second game, we got our ass kicked, or the second half. We just got our ass totally kicked. We couldn't do diddly poo offensively. We couldn't make a first down. We couldn't run the ball. We didn't try to run the ball. We couldn't complete a pass. We sucked. The second half, we sucked. We couldn't stop the run. Every time they got the ball, they went down and got points. We got our ass totally kicked in the second half. That's what it boiled down to. It was a horse performance in the second half. Horse. I'm totally embarrassed and totally ashamed. Coaching did a horrible job. The players did a horrible job. We got our ass kicked in that second half. It sucked. It stunk.
Well, that always sums it up. Well, you know, little Jim Moore is always good for that. You miss when coaches kind of say what they feel, you know what I'm saying? But what's up, Cowboys Nation? Mike Tag and Kelly K9. We're going to get through this. We're talking about before, man. It's making it very hard on people like us, passionate Cowboy fans, and I know people like you guys that are passionate Cowboy fans. It ain't easy. So before we get rolling, hit that subscribe, hit the like. If you're new to the channel, leave a comment. The only good thing about it is, but the Cowboys are in misery. The subscriber count goes up. I don't know if it's because people need therapy or people just want to laugh at us. Whatever it is, I guess we take it and we'll figure it out. But welcome to the show, and of course, my man Kelly K9. How you feeling, brother?
Oh, man. I'm feeling like I got one of them colds that you just can't shake, and it ain't got nothing to do with my physical health. It's all that I got to do with that mental health when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. It's like this is just like the nightmare that will never – it just seems like the nightmare that just won't end.
Like Groundhog Day.
It is, man. It's terrible, man. I mean, we've fallen down so far, and what's crazy is, you know, we're not even at the halfway point of the season yet. I mean, we're right at about the halfway point. What are we, 3-5? So
yeah,
right about there. One game less than halfway, but I mean, we still got half the season to go, and to know we are where we are, and to know that we are not going anywhere, it's just discouraging. It's all the things that you get, all the bad words that you can think of, man. All the bad words you can think of. So I'm doing good. I see SoCal in the chat said Texas Tech had one job. Listen, don't get me started on that, man. Don't get me started. I'll tell you what. I'll say this: officiating in college football has been shit this year. Absolute shit. I know you guys have had some bad calls against you guys. I saw that targeting call that was not targeting.
Can you believe that shit?
I will tell you this: in the Tech game, there was the exact same play, to the T, exact same play. They called targeting, and then they picked the flag up and say no targeting. And it was on a fourth down play for us. And I'm sitting there going, I just saw this same play in the Miami game. They called targeting. If they don't call, they called targeting here, and they picked the flag up. No, there was also a face mask right before that on that fourth down. We should have got a first down. We were only down a touchdown. We were driving. We were on the 35-yard line. And we end up turning the ball over. Colorado gets it back. And I just thought there were some very egregious calls in that game, man. Texas Tech, I hate to blame officials and make excuses, but when your head coach, who never talks about the officials, is on the presser afterwards saying the officials have to be better, this is egregious, these are calls that actually affected the outcome of the game. I mean, these referees should never ref another game again. We got hosed. It sucked. It sucked. And I know you hated seeing the Hurricanes lose. I watched them right before I watched Tech. It was a tough watch for them too.
Yeah. It was, and there was a passive, but I unlike some other people whose teams suck and they cry over every little thing, I'm not gonna. Miami lost. They deserved to lose. They played like shit, and that's just what happened. A couple bad calls is what it is, but end of the day, it didn't really matter. Miami is exactly where they were before the game. The only thing you hope is this is a wake-up call because of defense. I mean, when you got a team, I mean, if you watch the game, you got a team that can't throw the ball, and you know they're running the ball, and you can't stop the run. I mean, I thought I was watching the Dallas Cowboys all over again. I was like, what have I done in this world to deserve this kind of treatment that I'm getting this year with our defenses?
Well, and I think for you guys, it might have been, it might have even been worse just because of the fact. I mean, I would have felt that way as a fan just because of the fact you guys are, ranked high in the polls. You're in the top 10. You're flying high. you're undefeated, and then to lose a game like that to a team that I mean, they weren't ranked, were they? They were unranked, right?
No. But the thing about Georgia Tech,
that's gotta suck.
Georgia Tech is like Cristobal cost us a game. Coaching cost a game this game. Coaching cost the game last year when we played them. Cristobal's usually good for one screw up in the coaching staff. So I'm hoping this was the one. Get it out of the way. See what happens. But like I said, at the end of the day, they get a bye week this week. Hopefully they regroup. They have 2 winnable games, but I mean, they better not take Syracuse lightly. But if they win those, they're going to play more than likely SMU for the ACC championship. And it just, you're right back where you started. But SMU, I tell you, SMU is playing good football. And that's our former offensive coordinator. He was our offensive coordinator when we had Van Dyke had his one really good year, his freshman year, when we thought he was going to be the next coming for us. So he is a very good football coach. And Miami's going to have their hands full if they make it to the ACC title against SMU. It's not going to be no cakewalk, that's for sure. So.
Well, it's been interesting in college football to see so far, man. I mean, it's been, there's been some ups and downs and teams that have kind of fallen off the map. Teams that started off ranked, USC, that are no longer ranked anymore. Sorry, SoCal, but it's
well. And let me ask you this. Because this is, like SoCal, they love sending me messages. And so Miami hasn't beaten a ranked team. So I'm just going to ask you because maybe I'm wrong. Do you consider a ranked team who's ranked today or who's ranked at some point during the season? Because if you really look at it, Texas has not beaten a ranked team. Look at the teams today. Now they played a Michigan team that was ranked early that ends up sucking. They played, a couple other teams that were ranked and ended up sucking. So in my eyes, they haven't really beat a ranked team. Because if you go that route, then I'd say, hey, well, Miami, Florida State was ranked 10 at one point. Does that mean that we beat a 10th ranked Florida State team at some point? Does that count as a ranked win? So the whole ranking thing and what people narratives they want to do, they can spin it any way they want. But it's just, it's more crybaby shit to me.
Yeah, it is. And, it's like I said, with college football, I always say those preseason rankings, don't mean anything. It's kind of like the NFL. I get it. You have like recruiting classes that come in, but that don't mean anything because that recruiting class that you're bringing in, you may have a great recruiting class with a lot of top, but they have to mesh and have to play together and they have to play together as a unit. I mean, you look at it kind of reminds me like right now, somebody had mentioned it. I can't remember who. Is an article I saw something that said the Cowboys coaching staff does not mesh. Right now. And they're talking about, offensive line coach, Zimmer, McCarthy. It's just the collective of coaches, but they don't really mesh. Everything just looks sloppy. Everything looks disorganized. So it's the same thing in college football. You may have a great recruiting class. That don't mean shit until you put them on the field and see what they're all about. So, it's still football. Still anything can happen. You still got to be a team and play as a collective. So, but I would say at least for the Miami Hurricanes, at least you guys are still in the conversation. You only have one loss. There's still a lot of football left to be played in college football. What do we got? What do you guys got? 3 more games?
Yeah, 2 more games and then the ACC championship. So 3 more games.
So 2 in the ACC championship. So yeah, you've got a few more games to kind of decide and see where the chips fall. Texas Tech, we're probably going to be in the Downy soft fucking fabric softener bowl. We got our 6 wins. We're bowl eligible. We'll see if we win anymore. But I was really kind of pumped up. I thought we were going to be able to beat 2 ranked teams in a row. We didn't, but
yeah.
Well, I feel like we're trending in the right direction. I like our head coach. So
if you got a good coach and you can get good in the transfer portal, you look at Miami. What's really got Miami this year is the transfer portal. Obviously, getting Cam Ward was a huge thing, but then that helps recruiting, right? Because now you start winning. They just had a USC, and I'm not picking on you, SoCal, but they just had a USC commit flip to Miami. You had Florida State commits flip to Miami. If you start winning and having a strong year, these guys like, hey, man, I want to be part of that. So then it becomes a snowball effect. So that's the good thing with college football is now some people don't like the transfer portal. I think maybe they need to manage it a little bit better and not let people just flip so many times. But it gives teams opportunity to improve their team real quick. So.
I feel like that it would not hurt. I think the transfer, it's fine for them. People are like, well, coaches don't have any loyalty, but you never see a coach play for 4 different universities in 4 years. You do see that with players. So I think that they should cap how many times a player can switch universities. I mean, if you're a 4, maybe 5-year guy that, be a 5th-year senior, I think transferring 2 times is more than enough. If you commit to a university, you should be allowed to transfer unless it's one of those situations like a coach. I think 2 transfers, is more than enough, because that would mean that you've played for, basically, if you commit and then transfer twice, that's 3 different universities that you've played for within a 5-year span. I think that's more than enough. Some of these guys that bounce from university to university, and you see it a lot more in college basketball, not to get on that topic, but you see guys in college basketball. We had a guy on our team last year for Texas Tech. He's on his 4th university. Been at 4 universities. So every year he's skipping and skipping. And then, it doesn't really send a solid message to these kids either for sticking it out. It's like if they go somewhere and things don't go their way, well, I can just switch to something else. Well, it's not really the way things work. You know what I mean? It's not going to work out very well for you in life if that's how you do it, jumping job to job. You know what I mean? Put in the work and put in the work and work your way to where you want to be. And I think that kind of sends a message to some of these young kids, the way the transfer portal is set up. So I do think some regulations need to be put in the way it is right now. It's just kind of the wild, wild west. And just, I don't know. I don't like it, the current setup.
No, I'm sure they're going to fine tune it. And for everyone just joining again, we are going to talk a little bit. I saw a question on Parsons. We will get to that. We will get to some Cowboy stuff because we got some topics to talk about. Ain't a whole hell of a lot to talk about the game, even though your boy, I'm flying out Friday. My son and I are flying out Friday. We are going primarily Friday because we got a Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight at AT&T, and the tickets for that fight are more than what the Cowboy game's going for. So it's actually a hot ticket, and I'm looking forward to it. I know you made some comments. We talked a little bit back and forth, and I know a lot of people are excited about the fight. Some people think it's a joke, and I get either side. I manage expectations. This isn't going to be Mike Tyson and Larry Holmes or Mike Spinks or Holyfield or any of that. But as you and I are close in age, Mike Tyson is just, the aura of Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet. I just seeing him come out. I've never seen him live. So the opportunity to see him live fight, it's too good to pass up. But it's going to be interesting because it's a generational thing. My son and maybe your son might be in the same boat. Hey, Jake Paul's going to beat him. Old man Mike Tyson. They don't understand the Mike Tyson that we know, but it's going to be interesting. So what's your take on it? I know you don't plan on watching it.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't have the plans to watch it. I'll probably watch a replay if I hear that it's entertaining. My thing is that I've seen several of the Jake Paul fights, and they've all been pretty sloppy. There's a lot of holding going on. I'm a boxing fan. I love boxing, but I'm a technical boxing guy. I love to see technicians. I loved watching Tyson back in the day, but I know a lot of people said that they didn't like him because of the way they talk, but I loved watching Floyd Mayweather because he was a technician with the way that he boxed, defensive boxer. I love watching Terrence Crawford. I love the way he boxes because he's technical. He's just precision with it. I love watching those kind of boxers. I liked watching Roy Jones Jr. in his heyday. I love boxing, and I can't knock the hustle. I get where Jake Paul's coming from, but me and my son were actually having a heated argument on the way to work tonight. I'm dropping him off at work, and he's telling me that he thinks that Jake Paul could knock Tyson out. Yeah. And I said, listen, it's not, first of all, it's not going to happen. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking it's because Tyson's old, and he did keep saying that. I said, but here's my thing. I said, how many fights has Jake Paul fought against actual boxers? And he looks at me and he's like, he's fought one boxer. And I said, okay. And what was the outcome of that? He said, he lost. I said, okay. And that boxer he fought was Tommy Fury, Tyson Fury. I think it was Tyson Fury, right?
His brother.
Tommy, yeah, it was his brother. And that Fury is the lesser of the Furies. He's not even a good boxer. He's a mediocre at best. And Jake Paul lost to him, period, right? And so I told my son, that quote that you put the other day from your Twitter where it said, he goes, Jake Paul's a manufactured killer. I'm a natural born killer. And I told him, I told my son that same quote. And I said, I promise you, It's the truth. I said Tyson is you can don't get me, you can train in boxing, you can take boxing classes, you can do what Jake Paul's done. He's put in time, he's put in work. Tyson was natural though. He was a natural. He was born to be a boxer. There's guys that want to box, and then there's guys that are born to box. Mike Tyson was a born fighter. He's a born boxer. So in terms of, I don't care if he's 58, I don't care if he's 68. If Mike Tyson, all it takes is one good one. And Jake Paul, of all the fighters he's fought, even with Tyson being as old as he is, I do not think he has felt anything close to what he's going to feel in the ring with Tyson. And
did
so
you see the training? Did you see? I mean,
I have, and I'm curious to see kind of where his stamina will be. Obviously,
that's the key,
because that's the thing is the training and stuff and doing all, but the stamina. Where's the stamina going to be for a guy that's that old? That's why a lot of these guys end up retiring. The stamina's not there. You know, they get knocked out a couple of times and you lose your chin. I don't think Jake Paul has knockout power when it comes to Tyson though. Yes, he's knocked out some.
He can hit hard.
He's knocked out some lesser. He's knocked out some guys that weren't boxers. You know, some UFC guys that are kind of up and over the hill. I don't think he's knocking out Tyson. I think if anything, if I had to put my money, I'd put my money on Tyson knocking him out. But honestly, if I had to guess, I'd say the thing is probably going to go to decision. Tyson will win by decision. I think there's going to be a lot of holding, and I think it gets a little bit sloppy towards the later rounds. You might see a few good hits here and there, but I do think ultimately to be there, if somebody told me, hey, you could go to the fight, I would absolutely go, because I think it's going to be entertaining in the terms of the whole aspect of it, right? Just the whole aspect. Tyson and Jake Paul and you know, so they know how to sell the fights. They know how to promote them. They know how to make them entertaining. I just don't know. It just, as a pure boxing fan, as a fan.
I get it. I'm the same. I manage the expectations. I know what I'm getting into. They're 2-minute rounds. It's going to be very hard for a knockout. I mean, it'll be a one-punch knockout more than likely if that's the way the case. Because, I mean, the 2-minute rounds, I think it's 5 or 8 rounds, whatever it ends up being. I can't remember. The thing that amazes me about this fight is everything you say is 100% true. It's like, this isn't going to be, you know, the cream of the crop boxing spectacle as far as the technicians and everything you see. They almost sold out AT&T every level plus standing room only. You're talking about 100,000 people here to see. I mean, Tyson and Jake. I mean, it's unbelievable to me. I cannot believe. I was shocked. And then when I went to go get the tickets, I'm like, you know, I said, shit, man. And the upper level was like $80 or $60, and that's way up top. So I told my son, I said, here's the deal. We're supposed to go Thanksgiving to Dallas. Do you want to see this? You want to see this sideshow in Dallas? You want to see the Cowboys and Giants? I mean, how terrible of a game that's going to be on Thanksgiving. I said, we'll sell the tickets. Whatever I could sell for them, I said, I'll take the money and we'll just get better seats. So we got pretty good seats. We got lower level where the fighters come in. We'll be kind of that. Because I got to see Tyson. I got my camera ready. I mean, Mike, he better walk in all black, you know, the old school, the towel, you know, it better be like the old school Tyson. But I'm pumped up to see him in the ring.
I mean, I would be too. I would be too. Yeah, don't get me wrong. If I had the money and resources to get there, I would love to go see it in person and just be there, because I can guarantee the atmosphere will be electric. But like for me, just like watching it on TV, I'm just kind of like, you know, if I could be there, that's a different story. If I could be there, I'd hate on nobody that actually got tickets and got to go to it, man. I'm very envious of that, because of the fact that Tyson can put on, I mean, he's pure entertainment, and Jake Paul knows how to promote a fight, whether you agree with him and how he does it and his methods or whatever. He has sold out arenas. He's sold, you know, millions of pay-per-views. You know, he's figured it out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he figured out how to self-promote, and you know, and props to him for doing that. I just, you know, as a boxer, you know, I don't really respect Jake Paul as a boxer. Yeah, he's got some hands on him. He can throw some hands, but he's been training and putting in the work. And a lot of these dudes that he's fighting are just not guys that have been putting in the work and doing this. And I just, you know, so it's just, and he's still very young. A lot of the guys that he's fought have been older. I mean, the one time he did fight a guy that was a little bit lower down to his age that he could not knock out and that just kept coming and was landing some pretty good punches was Diaz. When he fought Diaz, I mean, I saw that fight and I'm sitting there and, that's about as sloppy as it gets. But I mean, Diaz put some hands on him and kind of got him with a couple of good ones. So I'm just sitting there watching that and thinking, look, if I had to predict it, I would say that I do think Mike Tyson can knock him out, but I don't think it's going to be a headshot. I think he'll fold him with a body shot. Yeah. I think he'll fold him with a body shot. I think if Tyson can hit him with one of them hooks to the body, and I think if he gets him with a couple of those, I think he'll fold Paul with a shot to the body. So I'll do a quick prediction and say Tyson with the knockout, but I'm going to say it's going to be a body shot knockout.
There we go. And I will pick you up a Tyson shirt. I will get you a shirt there. Extra large, right? Extra large. That's what I'm talking about.
2X. I'm a big boy.
2X? Oh, you get a little heavy, huh? You get a little heavy on me?
2X.
I'll get you the 2X. I'll pick you up a 2X, man.
That's
they have baddest man, like that way you can flaunt it in front of your kid, just a reminder, because I think Tyson's gonna knock it out.
Yeah. No, it was funny the argument we were having though, because he was just, I mean, we're sitting there and we're I argue the same with my son as I do with anybody else. Our voices are escalating. We're sitting there, we're yelling at each other in the car. Like, you don't understand. And he's like, you're an old head and you didn't think about that. And it's funny how all these kids think that us. And it's because it's the same thing with the Jordan and LeBron thing. Michael Jordan and LeBron. It's the same. And it's Tyson. And not to say he thinks Tyson is Jake Paul, but, he's told me, he's like, I think if, I forgot who he was saying, but one of his fighters is UFC. If John Jones. He said if John Jones and Tyson fought in an actual street fight, John Jones would beat the hell out of him. And I'm like, dude, if Tyson caught him just one time with a bare knuckle fist, he's out of there, man. What are you talking about? Anyway, it's just funny to listen to the young kids because their generation is obviously they're going to hype them up. And we obviously in our generation are going to hype them up. It's one of those things where here soon people are going to be making the talks about Mahomes and Brady. Which one is the better of the two? You know what I mean? Because you got Brady with the 6 Super Bowls and Mahomes, right on his tail already with 3, trying to go for 4 this year and still under the age of 30. So you'll always have that with the old folks and the young generation. They don't respect the old school, Mike.
No, absolutely. And hey, if SoCal wants to pay $20 for me to say this, sure. SoCal thinks Miami is going to lose when they make the college football playoff. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. What do you want me to say? I don't know. I don't know who they're going to play. It'll be in Miami, so it'll be a home field advantage for them. So I'll like their opportunity, like their chances. But I do know who they won't be playing. They won't be playing USC. It won't be. So you can dick ride any other team that you want to make yourself feel good, but at the end of the day. You're you hate us, but you're watching. So it's all. I really care about.
I would just chime in right now. USC plays Nebraska this Saturday. My girlfriend's a big Nebraska fan. I by relationship, obviously, have been rooting for Nebraska and watching them actively, and they're trying to get bowl eligible. They've got 5 wins. I don't know if I think USC maybe has 4 wins on the season right now, I believe. I don't know, but that's going to be a battle of 2 really mediocre teams. But we'll be watching SoCal. I'll be watching.
Yeah. I like Nebraska. I like Nebraska. I think college football is always good when the traditional powerhouses are always good. Like Miami's good, Michigan good, Notre Dame good. Nebraska was, Oklahoma. You get those teams, it just makes it really makes college. So I'd love to see them get back to, to where they need to be. But one thing we got to get back to are these Cowboys. And, we're going to shift gears and talk about these Cowboys. And, it's a frustrating season to say the least. I think any Cowboy fan will tell you. But the thing that I'm seeing is the pressure is on Jerry. I mean, if you're listening to him, you're seeing him. What's going on is attacking, the man's ego. I mean, the questions on the curtains, he's getting, now he wants to tear down the whole stadium and build a new one. Just can't put blinds up, I guess, every now and then. I don't know. And so then a lot of the stuff, now he's kind of, he's making sidebar comments at the coaches and at the players and this, and then he's taking some blame and self thing, and before when he's putting his dealing, digging his heels in. So, I mean, do you think, and this will lead us into our next question, do you think the pressure can get enough on Jerry where he will make the radical change that he needs to make, a la back in the day when he shifted to Bill Parcells and kind of let go of some of that control? Bill Parcells brought in his guys, the Richie Andersons, the Dan Campbells, his coaching staff. Because you said something about continuity with coaches, and you think about it, for the most part, Mike Zimmer came in, and most of the defense, a lot of the defensive coaches that didn't go with Quinn stayed on the staff. So it wasn't like Zimmer came in and just handpicked all his coaches and brought his own staff. So I think your point of the continuity not being there might make a little bit of sense if that's what that we heard. So what's your thoughts on the whole, with Jerry and the pressure? Do you think this could be a turning point to kind of make a radical change? Because it's getting to the point, and I'm just going to be honest, as an honest fan, and I told you this before the show, I don't have a lot of interest going into the football games. I mean, I don't live in Dallas, so it's a flight. Like, you understand, you got the same problems. A flight, hotel, rental car, Uber. I mean, it's a $1,500 weekend. Drinking. Yeah. I mean, it's not a cheap weekend. And I've started selling my tickets, but lo and behold, I've been selling my tickets, and my tickets that were selling for $800 a ticket are now in the $300 range, and I'm going to eat the money on it, and it is what it is. But I'm a businessman too. This shit I ain't gonna do that long if they don't get this shit figured out. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and have season tickets, can't go to the game, and then I'm selling them for $200 each and taking a hit. He's gonna have to do something. And I'm one of 50, 60,000 of us, in that boat. So what do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't. I mean, as a season ticket holder, I wouldn't put up with another season of this shit. I mean, if next year started to look like this. The thing with Jerry Jones is, man, what do they say? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Jerry is an old dog, and I think he's a stubborn dog. I mean, just listen to his comments about they have curtains. There was somebody that just commented on X earlier in the week and said that they were at a concert, or they were at a concert earlier this summer, and the curtains were up, and the curtains were down to block the sun. Like, imagine that. Imagine, and Jerry keeps saying that it's a home field advantage. The fuck, did you not see CeeDee Lamb miss a touchdown catch, a ball that went right in front of him, and then point to his eyes and I can't see? Like, how's that an advantage for your team? I don't understand the stupidity and the stubbornness in Jerry Jones to just admit that you're wrong. Admit that it's not working. What you're doing is not working. Things that you have been doing for 30 freaking years now, they're not working. You keep trying the same methods, the same hires, the same guys that you're familiar with, the old guys that just, at this point, I could see him hiring a Ron Rivera next year and thinking maybe this will work. Like, he keeps trying the same thing and it's not working. And it's like, Jerry, look at the other teams around the league. They're hiring young, innovative coaches that can relate with these players, that also can be creativity and create creativity within the offenses and with the defensive schemes. You need to let a guy come in here, and if you're going to ask him to deliver a Super Bowl, kind of like Bill Parcells said, if you're going to ask me to cook you dinner, let me get the recipes. Let the guy that you hire come in, make his hires across the board on the staff, make the decisions on who they want to draft collectively as a team, with his coordinators, like who do you like on, that you got your scouts that'll give you the scatter, but let them make these decisions and go that route, because this obviously what you've done ain't working. And you trying to, and I'm just sick of him just bold face, just denying truth. It's like when somebody shows you that the world is round and tells you that it's round, and you talk to one of them flat earthers and they're like, no, it's not. It's flat. And it's one of those things where you can't reason with stupidity. And Jerry Jones has been so stupid this offseason and so stupid during the regular season. And the things that he says, having the gall to say that he thought the offense looked better without Dak Prescott. What in the fuck were you watching? Are you kidding me? We got 6 points. And somebody said, well, we would have gotten 9 with Dak. Listen, I think we would have had the lead at halftime with Dak Prescott. I really do. I understand Dak Prescott was not playing good. He still plays really well against NFC East teams. I still think he would have played well enough to keep us in reach of the Eagles. And they're like, well, have a look at the score. What ended up? They scored 34 points. Well, they scored 34 points because we couldn't move the ball.
And they had 5 turnovers. The defense played well. I mean, the defense, I don't blame the defense.
I thought the defense playing like how they would. I thought, oh, shit, we might actually have a chance to win this game. But then you look at how shitty the offense was playing and that Cooper Rush couldn't do anything. And it's just so bad. And Jerry Jones just doesn't have the self-awareness. And I do not think all of a sudden he's going to get self-awareness. I just think he's stubborn. I think he's dug his heels in. I think he's drawn a line in the sand and he wants to do it his way or nobody else's. And I'm not one of those fans that ever is going to say that I wish for a man to die, but the cold, hard facts, it's not going to change till Jerry's dead because Jerry's running the ship until he's dead. I think he's going to be an Al Davis. We got an Al Davis.
That's what the team has kind of turned into. Anyone who kind of remembers the latter years of Al Davis, it kind of was just a circus, and that's what it is. And let's not forget a very close game in Dallas, San Francisco playoff game. Cedric Wilson had a pass right there, and he went like this to the sun, and he lost it in the sun. So it's happened multiple times, and it's just at this point, it's just kind of stupid. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. It's an easy fix, and you can have retractable blinds, so it doesn't hurt the aesthetics of the stadium. But at a certain time, they do it for concerts, they do it for other stuff. They put a damn shade in front of Mike McCarthy. He was laughing about it. Even he made a joke about it when he was doing his press conference at Frisco, because you've been there where they speak is like right next to all the windows. As soon as you walk in, it's right there. So it makes absolutely zero sense. It's just dumb. But to your point, are we stuck with it? It seems like we're just stuck with this. And as fans, it's so frustrating because the team, I don't want to say the team doesn't have talent because the team does. I mean, they had 9 All-Pros last year. I know they have injuries. Injuries killed this team. Make no mistake about it. They did kill this team, but there was a culture thing building. You had a coach on it last year, the deal. Why would you do that? What? Show me a team that was successful with this formula. Coach on a last deal, quarterback on a last deal, your top receiver holding out. You wait to the end to re-sign them when you could have easily done it at the beginning of training camp. The coach is a dead man walking. You can kind of see it. I feel bad for McCarthy. I mean, I think McCarthy just wants to be fired and get me the hell out of here and let him go on a podcast and let's talk about it. I'd love to hear what he really would have to say about the whole thing, especially this year. But you saw it brewing, and us fans, we're going to try and stay positive. Hey, maybe they overcome it. But you and I both said we don't have a running game, but maybe they can overcome it. Well, we didn't do anything to address the defensive line to stop the. Well, maybe they can overcome it. Maybe this could, and it just nothing worked. And what killed the team most is injuries, because like you and I said, they did 0 in free agency. They lost all these guys, but they never replaced them. So they replaced them with a bunch of unknown, and they're probably good guys. There's players that we're huge fans, and I don't even know who the hell they are coming out there, playing defense or playing offense sometimes. Like, who the hell are these guys? But you never replaced any. So now you're at the bottom of the barrel, putting all the pressure on these rookies. Like we said, it happened last year a little bit. It's just been the most frustrating season I've been a part of. They haven't scored a damn touchdown at home since you and I were sitting in that stadium. Yeah. And that's 2 months ago almost. That's how bad it's been. We've sat through 1-15. We've sat through 5-11. The 5-11, you at least knew, these guys are fighting. We're just not a good football team. It is what it is, But go ahead.
Yeah, you had kind of a scrappy defense in some of those 5-11 teams. You had the Roy Williams. Roy Williams was out there lighting people up. You at least had some excitement, had something to get excited over. Now it's like there's nothing. There's nothing. There is no excitement on this team right now. Absolutely none. And I get that, a lot of people will say, Overshown, he's pretty exciting to watch. And yeah, he is. He definitely is. But I don't know if you saw him, man. I feel like he's also trying to do a little bit too much. I don't know if you saw him take out Eric Kendricks, or it was Kendricks or Luafau that he took out, but he literally went diving at the running back and took his own guy out. So he might be trying to do a little too much right now. But yeah, I mean, what the problem is that this team, when they're on the field, is just it looks so out of sync and so out of sorts, and everything just looks difficult. I mean. And it's 3rd and 8, and they're throwing 2-yard passes. They're throwing.
Why do you have Cooper Rush?
What are you doing? Why?
You look at other backup quarterbacks when they come in, they at least throw the ball. Like, didn't they say Cooper Rush could run the offense? He could do everything Dak can do as far as the passing tree and run the. I mean, why did you scale back the offense and throw 2-yard passes? I mean, CeeDee Lamb had 6 catches for like 21 yards. I mean, if you believe in him, then run the offense. Right? Run the offense. Why? I mean, then don't have him. Put the other guy in. That's why I kept preaching for Trey Lance, is because it was obvious they didn't believe in Cooper Rush. And if you're going to go down, shit, man, at least go down fighting. I mean, just try.
It's been insane, you know, and unfortunately, I don't think that there's we're at the point now, though, Mike, where now I've said before that I hate watching my team lose, and I never want to see my team lose. But we're at the point now where I don't really want to see us win, and it's because I want the better draft position now. Listen, there's no chance in hell that this team is doing anything this year. So at this point right now, wins are kind of irrelevant. Now it's honestly the eyes are locked on the 2025 season and saying, all right, well, how can we get better in 2025? And it's very discouraging, though, because as you're sitting there thinking about that, the question you asked is, does Jerry change it all? Does he change anything up? And it's like, probably not. So if he doesn't and he keeps this same mindset, what really is going to change next year? You're going to go through the draft. Jerry's going to end up probably signing Parsons and then saying, well, I can't afford anybody else because I paid Dak and CD and Parsons. We're going to have to depend on these rookies. And then the class that we drafted in 2024, they're going to have to step up, and we're going to have to depend on a lot of young people. And then you probably look at another shitty season and of just not really doing it, because Jerry Jones has just refused to utilize free agency for whatever reason. And you've seen all these other teams go out there and be successful and do it. I mean, listen, we were neck and neck at the end of last year. Actually, I would argue that we were in a better position than Philadelphia. And they have had to spend money. They have had to pay their quarterback. They paid Hurts. They paid A.J. Brown. They paid Devontae Smith. They've paid their playmakers, yet they still went out and got a Saquon Barkley. They still went out and decided, hey, we're going to get ourselves another. They brought back in that Gardner, which, I mean, he hasn't really been that great, but they went out and addressed it and got somebody at the cornerback position. They still went out and they signed guys and got some guys to try to make themselves better. And they are a team that doesn't really look like they've fallen off. I mean, now they're going to be playing Thursday night for, they're currently in first place, the NFC East. They're going to be playing to retain that against the Commanders on Thursday night. And they look like a really good football team right now, a playoff football team. And meanwhile, we don't. And the reason why is because they failed to do anything in free agency. You can't just sign your own guys, sit back and say, well, we're dependent on all these rookies. We signed Dak, we signed CD. That's all we got to do. No, you still had money to spend. You still had guys that you could have got, which just doesn't make any sense the way that they approached this entire offseason. None of it makes sense to me. None of it.
Yeah. And I tell you, James, and, if it was that easy, everyone, it could easily be done. We could stop supporting them, but they're a 3-6 football team, and go look on ESPN and see what they still talk about. They don't talk about the undefeated Chiefs. They talk about the Cowboys. And, to Edgar's point as well, I mean, they're the world's team. I mean, look at my man, Frank. I mean, he's a fan from Germany. They're all over the world. It's too big. It's a $7 billion company. What you're doing now, these fans that are being upset, that's how you're going to get to them if there's anything that you can do. But I'm a fan of the Cowboys. I was a fan long before Jerry Jones, and I'll be a fan long after him as long as I outlive him. That's never going to change. And I'm a fan of the star. I'm a fan of the players out there competing, and that I can't change that. Now what I said was I ain't going to as many games, but my tickets, if I sell them, someone's going. Now maybe the other team. So that stadium will never be empty. I promise you. I don't know if you've been there, but the stadium ain't gonna be empty. It's a destination stadium. I talk to people. I still have a buddy of mine who's a Bucks fan. We're going to the Bucks game. I took him last year to the game. He still talks about that stadium. How just amazed how everything is first class, everything around it, everything to do. Fans from other teams are going to show up. That's just the way it is.
Well, and I don't know if you saw it, but our boy Mark posted a video from inside the Cowboys pro shop at the stadium before the game on this weekend, and that place was packed. It was packed. I mean, it was jam full of fans out there that was buying merch, and that's it's the problem. It's easy for us to say that. It's easy to say let's boycott, but it's harder to do it because you're talking about having millions of fans, and that's not exaggeration. That's millions of Cowboys fans that you're having to talk about saying, all right, y'all all in unison got to stop buying shit. And I mean, listen, man, I'm frustrated as hell. I'm not planning on spending any more money on Cowboys stuff this year, but you know what? My kids are probably going to buy me Cowboys gear for Christmas. My birthday's coming up at the end of this month. Probably going to get me some Cowboys merchandise. And I mean, what do I look, I still like it. I've been looking at that Arctic camo, the salute to the
Their colors are so damn good. That's the hard thing. It matches everything.
I know that thing is that hoodie is so sick, and my kids were asking me what I wanted, and I'm mad at the Cowboys, but I'm like, damn, that hoodie is fresh as hell, man. Give me that hoodie, give me the Emmitt Smith jersey, and get me the ball cap to match. So I'm probably gonna get some Cowboys merchandise. It's easier to say it, and like you said, the stadium will never be empty.
And just for Frank, it could be empty, but every ticket is paid for. Every seat is paid for. We could show. He still gets his money whether you show up or not. The stadium is sold out. You ain't getting no seat. Every seat in there has been bought and paid for. And I can just tell you, being a season ticket holder, Jerry gets your money long before the season starts. Very strategically, they do the seat deposit right before free agency starts. The day before free agency starts is the last day. If you don't pay your seat deposit, you forfeit your seats. He's no dummy.
Waiting in line.
He's no dummy. So
and then there's people waiting in line to snag yours up if you don't pay for them. If you don't renew your season tickets, there's a waiting list for Cowboys fans to get season tickets, unfortunately. And again, it's also a very commercial thing too. You've got businesses that are buying out tickets, that they're sending people, and it's a very corporate thing. It's kind of like it's kind of like to put it in perspective. It's kind of like the Yankees. The Yankees have this big, nice stadium, and up until this year, finally they made it back to the World Series. But the Yankees hadn't won in many, many years. The Yankees hadn't really been relevant. They were missing the playoffs, and they were just not a good product for many years from what they were, in the '90s and even early 2000s. But yet they still got. They're still selling these $1,000 tickets at the baseball fields, and you're like, how in the hell, are the fans still? But they're a brand as big as the Cowboys. That engine just don't stop rolling. Jerry's still rolling off the Super Bowls from the '90s. I mean, he just continued to build this franchise up, and he, say what you want about Jerry, he does market. If the dude could be as good of a GM as he was a global marketer of the Dallas Cowboys brand, I mean, we'd be one of the most successful teams in the league every single year. The problem is Jerry will turn negative publicity and somehow find a way to market that. And he's great at doing it. You can't say that he's not. He's one of the greatest ever at doing it. It's why all these TV networks, like you said, are still talking about us. We got 3 damn wins. They're all talking about us. They're talking about Micah Parsons' comments on Mike McCarthy. They're talking about, Micah's podcast. They're talking about the Dak Prescott injury. They're talking, they do not stop talking about it. And if we don't win one more game this season, every single week there's going to be a new storyline with this Dallas Cowboys, because now here soon it's going to be like, when does Mike McCarthy get fired? When does that domino drop? Then it's going to be, who's next in line for the Cowboys? This news cycle just don't stop rolling, and all that does is just feed the machine. And again, that machine isn't going to stop. It's just not. It's just unfortunate, but it's not, man.
And I would just say this, Jerry the problem. I didn't understand it. You ever deal with billionaires? You ever deal with millionaires? The ego.
People around.
They know more than you. They know more than everyone else around. That's why he always says all decisions go to him. Now, he listens to people. He says he listens to people. But at the end of the day, that's why he says he's the GM, because it's ultimately going to go to him anyway, which means he doesn't trust the people that he has in place. He trusts them, but just doesn't trust them enough. And I think that is the biggest problem. And I agree with you, Frank. I just want a football team. I get so jealous of the Chiefs, and I get so jealous of the Patriots back in the day, because I couldn't even name who their GM is. I don't either owner. I know the owner only because it's Hunt family and stuff, but you know what I'm getting at. You don't know most of these other teams' owners and GMs, and
I could not name. The only reason that I could name the Patriots owner and the only reason I can name the Chiefs owner is because they've won multiple Super Bowls, and I've seen that Super Bowl presentation go to their owner. So that's the only reason. I could not name you the owner of any other team right now except for the Dallas Cowboys, the Chiefs, and the Patriots. Those are the only three. The Cowboys is only because that's my team, and obviously everybody knows Jerry Jones. But outside of that, I couldn't tell you who owns the Bengals. I couldn't tell you who owns the Broncos. I couldn't tell you, I don't know none of the owners of these other teams. But Jerry Jones is one of the most recognizable names. You could even tell non-Cowboys fans that don't even watch football say the name Jerry Jones. They know who the hell that is.
Yeah, no. But I think we're doing the right. I think the pressure, I think the fans, he's hearing it. Trust me. You hear him on the radio. It's going to work. So I think we all kind of agree Mike McCarthy's days are numbered. I mean, it just the way this season's going. I think he wants out of here, and I think they're going to end up parting ways. So who's the next Cowboys coach? And I just throw a couple out there. Vrabel I talked about, Ben Johnson I talked about. You could go. These are my two extreme ones that we've talked about: Deion Sanders and Bill Belichick. Maybe some other guys mixed in. The Houston offensive coordinators, and his names have been bounced around. I mean, what do you think, and who would you guys want to see as the coach of the Cowboys if you had your pick? Jason Witten's name is, which I think that would be. I'm not a big. I don't know if he's ready. I mean, he's coaching high school.
So. Great high school coach, but I mean, he's got to. You got to show me something at a little bit higher level than high school before I just throw you in. That would be a Jerry move, though, if I've ever seen one. Is to promote Jason Witten as the head coach. But so listen, I love the name Ben Johnson, obviously, because of what he's done in Detroit. Me personally, though, I would like Vrabel. I'd say Vrabel's 1A. I'd say Ben Johnson 1B. Reason why I say Vrabel is because I feel like he brings a toughness, and I feel he brings a physicality that this team's been lacking for a long time. And I think from day one, he would come in there and he would instill that toughness. And what do we always talk about? We talk about a finesse team, a team that just seems to get bullied around. When they get punched in the mouth, they just don't know how to respond. I feel like Mike Vrabel would be the kind of coach that if you get punched in the mouth, he's going to expect you to punch back and be the one to land the knockout blow. So I like Vrabel. I really do, just because he's a hard-nosed coach. And I thought he did a great job with Tennessee, considering the talent they had. Tennessee was void of talent. They really didn't have talent. They traded away their best receiver, and they did him no favors in Tennessee. No. And expected him to win with a subpar quarterback. I think if you give Vrabel the kind of talent that the Dallas Cowboys have, because I think they do have top 10 talent at several positions, whether that be cornerback, defensive end, wide receiver. You could even argue quarterback to an extent. I know he wasn't that this year, but he's a veteran quarterback that was a top 10 quarterback the previous year. He has some pieces to work with. Also, you're going to have some high draft picks. And I think you'd be able to really do some things with that. I like where SoCal's thinking, but I don't think at this point Ben Johnson makes a lateral move. I think he's going.
No, he's saying Ben Johnson, head coach, Vrabel, defensive coordinator. I was going to say, you and I, when all the coaches came out, when we were looking for a coordinator, you and I talked about Vrabel, and that was one of our picks. And I agree with you. The thing that when you go from McCarthy, I think always you go to another extreme, right? So he's an offensive guy, and I think sometimes, and he's kind of a nice guy. I think Vrabel, to your point, is kind of going to be a little bit of the opposite. He's a tough guy.
Yeah.
He's a Super Bowl champion player. He knows what it takes. He was a blue-collar player. He wasn't a superstar, right? He wasn't no superstar, but he was a blue-collar, hard-nosed football player. And I think you're thinking like a Dan Campbell, right? How he changed that culture of that team.
Absolutely.
You think of Vrabel could, because to me, it's a culture issue with this team. Ben Johnson, I wouldn't argue that one either. These two that I put on here, that would be my if I had a choice, I would do a hype video for one of these two guys if they came to the
absolutely. Either one of those guys. If the Cowboys hired either one of those guys, I would be ecstatic. I would be through the roof positive about where we're going next year. My only outlier with the whole thing is, though, when Jerry hires a head coach, when he hires the next head coach and makes that, he needs to let that head coach make the decisions in hiring his own personnel. He cannot force any coordinators on him. I'm tired of that shit happening. You can't cherry pick and say, well, this coordinator stays and this coordinator stays. And this. No, let that head coach come in. And if he wants to completely clean house. Let that head coach pick his own staff. Because if you're wanting to change the culture, if you're wanting to have your head coach make this team a reflection of himself, then you need to let him make those personnel decisions because he knows the kind of guys that he wants to bring in. He knows the attitude. He knows the energy. He knows the scheme that he's going to want to implement. Let him bring in his own guys. Don't let him have to fight to fit in. He shouldn't be the puzzle piece fitting in. He should be the puzzle. And that's exactly what it should be. You let him be the puzzle. He puts the pieces in around him, not the other way around.
No, and I did a video on that. I mean, that's what Jerry's been doing with all his coaches. That's why I feel bad for him. But hey, Star, we are. What's up, man? I got to catch their show. Make sure you guys, if you haven't subscribed to them, check them out. Yeah, he's thinking, Jerry's going to bring in another yes man. I hope not. I mean, if I see Kellen Moore in here, I mean, I'm going to have there might be some problems. If he brings in one of those types, I'm going to have a real problem as a fan. But I like these two. Give you the other side of it. These are kind of the extreme. And what I would say with Belichick, of course, Belichick, the aura, he's going to bring credibility to the team. The thing I worry about Belichick is I look at his staff that he's always had. He's very loyal to some of these guys. And you want to talk about you're trying to go younger. These guys, it's just a whole bunch of retreads. It's just a whole bunch of retread coaches that he's had. He had a defensive guy be the offensive coordinator. He had, it was just flip-flopping stuff around. Look what he did after Brady, the team he assembled. I mean, terrible. They're going to be paying for that for a long time. Deion, everyone loves Deion. I mean, come on. Who doesn't love Deion? He said he's not going nowhere. He's a college guy because he could bring in credibility. But like Kelly and I talked about, I think it was probably before we jumped on the show, if he has a problem with Diggs missing a tackle. I'm not picking on Diggs, but let's just say him, who's making a lot of money. He can't cut him, and he wants to cut him. That's Deion's mentality. But you can't cut him because you can't eat $60 million in your salary cap. That's the problem with Deion. He's too passionate, and he's just too good of a player. He will not accept what he sees from some guys, and he'll want to get rid of them the next day. He can't bring his luggage to Dallas like he did in Colorado. It doesn't work that way. So Deion even said he's better where he's at. He's happy where he has no interest in going to the NFL because his mentality is not made for the NFL player. That's just my opinion.
Well, and think about the irony of Deion Sanders wanting to cut Diggs for missing a tackle, though, not wanting to tackle.
I know. That was probably a bad example.
Businesses, but Marcos, man, thanks for the super chat. He says, I'm hoping this poor season will make JJ change his mentality. Unless JJ changes his signing of guys late, get a real coach and sign free agents, we are doomed. And yeah, Mark, we've been talking about that. It's one of the topics we were talking about a little bit earlier in the show. Will he change? Will he won't? I guess, only time will tell. But to address the coach thing, Bill Belichick, I'm going to say this right now, man. Have you seen his girlfriend?
Yeah, I would be.
Bill Belichick ain't got time to be pouring his heart and soul into no damn. He going to live out the last years of his life living his best life right now, man. Bill Belichick ain't doing no damn coming back in and working no 16-hour days and shit. Now he got a girlfriend, man. He got this young girl with a high sex drive. Man, Bill Belichick, only tight ends he's working about is that girl he's got on his roster right now. I don't think Bill Belichick, I really don't. I honestly, I don't think that I think Bill Belichick doesn't really have anything more to prove in this league. I think he's proven all that he can prove. I think he's a guy that, honestly, I don't know how much he really would resonate with the players nowadays. You saw kind of the downslide, what happened after Tom Brady left. They brought in a quarterback that, that they wanted. You have to believe that he signed off on Mac Jones, on drafting him. That didn't work out. It looked terrible. Defense and just nothing looked good about the Patriots after that happened. And again, like I said, I've seen Bill Belichick. He seems to be enjoying what he's doing on the broadcasting thing. They've got him in there on some of these shows and bring him in to do some of these color analyst type things on some of these pregame shows. And he's got his young, hot girlfriend. I don't think he gives that up for going back and working those grueling hours that you have to work at his age, man, right now. Live out your best life, man. And congrats to you on dating a girl that's 50 years younger than you, man. You're living the dream, my guy. Deion Sanders, I would be intrigued by him. I posted that. I made a post and said I'm not advocating it. It's intriguing just because he brings that old school mentality. He is an old school guy. He's a guy that we talk about when we talk about bringing in champions of the 90s Cowboys. He's a guy that knows what it means to be a champion. He knows the work ethic that it takes, but he's also mentioned that he's not interested in it because he said it himself. He said he'd go into the game with 53 men, come out at halftime with 35 because he'd want to cut the guys that weren't giving effort. He said what bugs him the most about the NFL game is millionaires being paid, these players being paid millions of dollars, and then not taking pride in their job and going out and giving 110% every single play. And that's the thing. It's a high standard. When you're a champion like Deion Sanders was, you have that standard of excellence. And, these college kids, they're getting paid pretty good too, though. I have to say that they're getting paid pretty good too. But the thing is with Deion, he can take a college kid. He could take the best player on his team right now if he wanted to and cut him loose and sit him down on the bench. And if he wanted to, he has the right to do that. He's got the power to do that. Jerry Jones ain't going to let you cut Dak Prescott. Jerry Jones ain't going to let you send CeeDee Lamb packing. He's not going to let you cut Diggs. That's the politics you got to work with in the NFL. Deion Sanders has said that he's not interested, and I believe him. I don't think he's interested. He reiterated it again this week when Mike Irvin asked him about it. He just started laughing. He said, look, man, I'm happy where I'm at. So I believe him in his word that he's not going anywhere. So I think if we get a head coach, I do not think it's going to be Belichick or Sanders, even though there's been talks about Belichick. I'd say more serious talks about Belichick. I think right now it's just fun fodder for these news networks to talk about it because they got to find something to keep the Cowboys in the news and in the headlines and for all the clicks and views and all that good stuff. So yeah,
no, absolutely. And yeah, definitely Mark, our man Greg, one of our partners in crime. Absolutely. Thank you. We'll definitely pass that on to him
sir.
And get it going. Yeah. Brian Flores, he's another wild card. I liked him in Miami. He got a raw deal in Miami. I would not have an issue with him. He brings a toughness defensive mind. Comes from, that tree with Belichick as far as that style. So I wouldn't have a lot of problem. I just don't want a yes man, and I don't want an old retread that's been retread 1,500 times. I just think they need a shot in the arm from somebody. Yeah, and hopefully that's what they do. So this next thing is probably could add Parsons to it because one of our guys actually he made that and I wanted to give him credit because he did ask it. My man Slim, should the Cowboys trade Parsons for picks as they try and retool or rebuild? I would throw the future of Dak Prescott in there as well. And what I mean by that, I'd love to get your opinion in the chat and also Kelly and I, we kind of talked about before we went on. What I mean by that is the Cowboys are probably going to be in a unique situation they hadn't been in a long time, and that's picking very high in the draft. They have not drafted a first-round quarterback since 1989, and our very own Hall of Famer Troy Aikman. I mean, it's kind of shown, most Super Bowl quarterbacks, unless your name was Brady, or most of them were first-round draft picks, franchise-type quarterbacks. If you have the opportunity where you're picking and you have a top quarterback fall to your lap, do you draft him? Understanding you just signed Dak, but you do have an out in a couple of years. So it could be an Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre situation. It could be a Penix and Cousins. You've seen it, a Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers. So seen this happen. Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning. I'm going down. This isn't something that hadn't happened before. What would you do in this situation, or what would you like to see the Cowboys do in this situation if a quarterback were to fall where they pick?
I'd take one. I would absolutely take one. I'd draft a quarterback. I wouldn't even think twice about it. I thought we've been kind of talking about it for the last couple of years about them drafting a quarterback. Obviously, they got Trey Lance and gave up that 4th round pick, so we kind of knew that wasn't going to happen this year because they wanted to kind of do the Trey Lance experiment. But I think that you definitely have to draft one right now, and the reason why is because you could get a guy that you can sit and develop. So I disagree with DJ when he said you can't draft one now because there's too many years on the deal. There's not. You've got the 2 years, but you've got dead years after that.
And no trade clause, but you could, if Dak let it go, you could trade him.
You could trade him. You absolutely could. You absolutely could work around the no trade clause. And here's the thing: you got the look at all the teams that are out there that are proactive. You look at the Packers when they drafted Aaron Rodgers, when Brett Favre had a few years left. Look at what they did when they drafted Jordan Love when Aaron Rodgers still had a few years left on his deal. They let him sit behind him. They let him develop. That way you're not throwing the guy out there. You're not rushing him on the field. You absolutely can draft a quarterback in the high rounds. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles when they drafted Jalen Hurts, when they still had Carson Wentz, had just signed Carson Wentz to a high-paid deal. Literally the very next year after he had been on the deal for 1 year, similar to Dak Prescott with this year, very next year they signed Jalen Hurts. You see teams that go around and they do those and they make those signings and they get these quarterbacks. You absolutely can do that with your quarterback and with your franchise. And I think it would be negligent not to, because here's the thing. What are you going to do? You're going to continue to wait. If you have a quarterback that you think can fit your system and you think can be a franchise guy, you're picking in the top 10, you got a quarterback that slips to you and you don't take him. How do you know that there's going to be a quarterback that's going to fall to you next year? Because what if the next year Dak Prescott has a 9-win season, a 10-win season? Then we're picking down, and then we're in the same spot we've been picking it, because then you're picking down in the low 20s. You're going to have to trade super high to get a guy, or you're going to hope that maybe that you can trade and get a quarterback and give up the farm to get a guy that's already in the league. No, if you've got a guy right now that falls into your lap, you absolutely take a quarterback in the first round. So if I'm sitting there and I got a quarterback looking at me that I think can fit my scheme, and that my head coach that I'm going to hire likes and says, hey, I think this guy could be the guy for us here in a couple of years, we still ride with Dak, grab that guy. Go ahead and snag him. Because listen, you can address some of these other needs. This draft is loaded with running backs.
I would draft a running back in the first round.
They are loaded with running backs. I mean, rounds 2 through 5. There's going to be running backs all throughout this draft that are going to be they can be guys that will come in and instantly be better than anything that you got right now. We still need to get an offensive tackle, in my opinion. I think we need to address the steal, offensive tackle. I think we need to do defensive line. I wouldn't be out on drafting a safety, another wide receiver. But if we can go out there and we can be aggressive this year in free agency, as well as going through the draft, and you draft a quarterback in the first round, I don't think it's one of those scenarios where it's like, well, if we draft a quarterback in the first round, we're not going to be competitive because we need to use that on another pick. Right now, I think that you would go best player available, but I think that if there's a quarterback there that you trust and believe in, you take him, period.
Yeah, and DJ, every pick is a crapshoot. Every one is a crapshoot. How many busts do you see in the NFL in the first round? Probably 50% of them are. I think if you have the opportunity to take, just my own opinion, if there's a franchise quarterback, and I know, there's some names out there. I don't know all of them. I'm not a draft guru. I don't study all the tape because you always find these guys. The only guy I know is there's two, Shedeur Sanders and my man Cam Ward. But I'm just saying there's going to be some other guys out there. If there is a quarterback that they feel is a franchise quarterback, I just don't see how you could pass that up if you're picking high. Because one player is not going to make or break this team. One player in the first round isn't going to make or break it. But what one player can do if that quarterback is the right one, and of course that's obviously it's always a question. Go back to the years, and Dak Prescott, he tore his hamstring, off the bone, whatever that was. Think about Romo years and think about like that kind of stuff. All these injuries are mounting up. Think of how lucky they were that they had this 4th draft pick and was able to come. What if he wasn't there? What if they had a shitty quarterback? What if he wasn't any good? I mean, they got lightning in a bottle. Doesn't happen often. Go back to Troy Aikman. Injury. They never drafted a quarterback. They never had a succession plan. Look at the decade in the years of just crappy football because they didn't have a quarterback. Go look at the Colts and look at the Packers. Look how relevant the Packers are. Now, I always crack on them. They only got 2 Super Bowls to show for the years between Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. Now you have Jordan Love. So think of how jealous we could be of the Packers. They could end up with 3 franchise quarterbacks that play 15 years apiece at that with their team right in a row. And that doesn't happen very often. So you don't pick high all the time unless you're a really, really bad football team. The Cowboys have talent. They could take a franchise quarterback if it was there and sit it back and let them wait a couple of years and then see what happens with Dak. If Dak is good, then it is what it is. But if you're going through these points and, a lot of people are questioning if Dak can take him to the promised land, at least you have an option. That's all I'm saying is at least you have an option. Well, and DJ, I can give you 50 names. You're going to say we need a receiver. I can give you a laundry list of receivers that did shit. I can give you a laundry list of offensive linemen, trash, defensive linemen, trash, cornerback, trash. What was his name? J.C. Horn? What the Cowboys wanted him so bad. Where is he? Does he play? I haven't heard his name at all. I mean, he was the hot quarterback.
And on that same token, though, you sit there and you said, ask San Fran about trade. Well, ask Kansas City about Patrick Mahomes.
They did the same thing with Alex Smith.
They were a playoff team the year before with Alex Smith. They drafted Patrick Mahomes in the first round, pick number 10. How'd that work out for him? Pretty good, right? I mean,
and my brother's a Broncos fan. He laughed at that.
You can't be scared to draft a quarterback just because you think that, well, he may or may not work. I mean, that's the case with any player that you draft in any draft. I mean, how many picks have the Cowboys wasted in the first? I mean, you've got Mozzie Smith, Luke Schoonmaker, first 2 rounds of the 2022 draft. Neither one of those guys are contributing on the team right now. So, I mean, there's no guarantee. But if there is a quarterback that you like, I absolutely am for drafting a quarterback and letting him sit behind Dak Prescott and develop, because you've seen that work in the past with many teams that have done it. Many teams that have done it. It's a model for success. Again, there's nothing guaranteed in the draft, but I think you'd be negligent not to do it, because then if not, you're sitting there, you've got Dak Prescott a year older, and then let's just say we get a good head coach in here and a good staff, and then they go and next year they win 11 games, but then we lose in the first round again because Dak shits the bed. I mean, then you're back to square one, and now you're picking in the 20s and you're looking for a quarterback. And where are you going to get one then? Because they don't fall off trees, and teams aren't looking to trade franchise quarterbacks because they're franchise quarterbacks for a reason. So then you're looking at a guy that's a veteran guy. You're looking at a Baker Mayfield, you're looking at a Kirk Cousins type, something like that. And that's just not going to win you a type. You need a quarterback that's going to be a top 10 quarterback consistently. And I'm not saying that I don't think that Dak Prescott could possibly get back there, but it's not a great sign that he's a year older. He's got another significant injury. This is a significant injury, 3-month timetable to heal, and it's a lower leg injury. It's another injury to the lower half of this guy's body, which more than likely, I believe, is going to reduce his mobility. So, I mean, you got to think about these things going forward as a franchise. And I think the Cowboys would be negligent to not at least think about a quarterback in this draft.
And DJ, you make valid points, and that's the beauty is we have this debate, we have these conversations.
There's no wrong or right.
There's no wrong answer because you could be right. You're going to 50-50. So either you're right or we're right. It's going to be 50-50. And at the end of the day, the thing I love with Cowboys Nation, why we love this channel, and we'll and appreciate the 256 people watching on Twitter and YouTube and Instagram and all that stuff. If you do, get over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and the like is we can have these debates because we want to win. All of us have one thing in common. We want to see this Cowboy team get back to the Super Bowl and get back to winning consistently and getting in the playoffs and winning. We all want that. Any means necessary. If that means if they can bring in another quarterback to replace Dak Prescott, I don't care. If that means trade Mike Parsons for 3 first-round picks and turn him into whatever, I don't care. At the end of the day, I just want to win. I want to win with whatever players they want to put on the field that they think that are going to be the best to get us a championship. That's all I want. And I think that's all Cowboy fans want. So we just want to, we're brainstorming because things will happen. Someone asked about Cam Ward. I love Cam Ward. I'm not 100% sold on him in the NFL. And I think he holds the ball too long. I think he makes bad decisions sometimes. He trusts his arm too much. He doesn't trust his legs enough because he could have ran. I thought I was watching the Cowboys that way. He could have ran for first downs, and he went in circles and circles and circles and circles and ends up tripping over his feet and getting sacked. I don't know if he's NFL. I think he could be there, but I don't know if he's. I don't know. I got to see more. I got to see more from him to make that decision. But I don't think so yet. I don't think so yet. Great college quarterback. He'll probably win the Heisman. Great college quarterback, but I don't know. I got to see more, to be honest with you. So, and Parsons, Parsons showed. I mean, with no one on that defensive line, let's understand that Tank's out, Nealon's out, Sam Williams is out. There's really nothing on that defensive line. He looked pretty damn good coming back off that injury, and he's still not 100%. It makes you doubt yourself when people actually say, "Would you trade Micah Parsons today?" And just if you can get a couple first-round picks for him, you can get value. He's young. He's still young. I know you can get some value for him, get some picks for him. Would you make that move, or he's just too good? You just can't do it. I mean, pass rushers are so much of a free.
I mean, I'd be more inclined. I'd be more inclined to keep Parsons, but again, if this team decided that if they brought in a head coach and the head coach decided that that he wanted to make that move and trade him for multiple first-round picks because they wanted to just rebuild this thing, and the nucleus was going to be that they wanted to keep was more on the offensive side of the ball, and they decided they wanted to do that, then I mean, I wouldn't throw a huge fit about it. I'm not necessarily saying that I'm advocating to trade Parsons. I'm just saying if I got multiple first rounds and possibly a 4th or 5th rounder for him, I'm not going to cry about it because I'm sitting there looking at 3 first-round picks next year and thinking what 3 first-round picks could probably do for you. So, but again, I would say it's not something I'm advocating for. I think he's a great player, but the thing is, with a great player also comes the caveat that you're gonna have to pay him, and you have to pay him a lot. So,
and that's the tough thing. He's gonna be the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. If he's getting his money. If we don't pay him, someone else will. That's why I don't really like. I know people talk about the contracts, so I don't know why people talk about the contracts. I mean, what the hell do we care? Someone's going to pay him, and the owners are the ones seem to be willing to pay these guys. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, someone's going to get paid. I mean, no one's asking what I'm making, and I'm not asking else what they're making. I really don't shit. So I don't really worry about it. All about are you bringing it? Are you part of the solution to bring a championship to Dallas? That's all I care about. I don't care if you're the highest paid player or you're the lowest paid player. If you're part of the solution to bring a championship, man, I'm all in with you. I want you here, and we want to make it happen. But it would be hard. I mean, the thing with Jerry, through his years, he loves the stars. He loves those guys that are incredible. that, recognizable, that transcend the football and all of that kind of stuff. So he usually doesn't let those guys go away. I'm trying to think of is there any big homegrown guy that he let get away that wasn't at the end of the prime? I know.
Not in their prime, no.
Yeah. So I would be shocked if that happens, and the cap is going the way it's going. So I don't think that's a big issue. We got a couple super chats, so let's show some love to them. I think Parsons is becoming a distraction. I'd have no issue getting 3 first round. I don't know if they get 3. That's steep nowadays with the money. But I think they can get a couple. Hate to see him go, but locker room issues concern me. That's been one thing that you heard about Parsons. I don't know if it's true. I'm not in the locker room, so I dare not to assume anything. Everything that I see from him seems like he's a pretty good guy and a great teammate and this and that. But you do hear, some things within this locker room with certain players. You saw kind of a sideline argument with him and Tank early on in the year, venting some frustration. I don't put a whole lot of stock in stuff like that, because anyone who's played competitive sports, anyone who's played team sports, you get into each other's faces sometimes, man. That's just the way it goes when you're competing. So I don't really think Parsons is a distraction. I mean, do you?
I don't. No, I don't.
I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, and the podcast, I would say, the only thing I would say with Parsons in the podcast, I don't have an issue with him doing a podcast, but I would just say you got to be careful what you say, because you're Micah Parsons on the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to twist everything you say. Anything you say is going to be headline news. So when you do your top 10 quarterbacks, I know Dak Prescott's not a top 10 quarterback the way he was playing this year. Probably just don't do a top 10 quarterback. Maybe do top 5, and then it wouldn't be so bad. So, Chris, evening, boys. No football question tonight as the season's over from Dallas. More importantly for Kelly, when is Blame It on the Tours tapping into the glass single coming out? We're doing Milli Vanilli?
Well, listen, I got plenty of time to drop it, man. With the Cowboys not being in the mix anymore, I've got plenty of free time on my hands. So coming soon.
Did you see I don't know if it's Milli or Vanilli. And I grew up in that. They had some catchy songs. I did see him in concert. I did admit to that. It was him and Young MC down in Miami. But he is upset because, and I didn't even know I guess I'm living under a rock. I didn't know the popularity of Milli Vanilli came back with, you said there was a show or a series or something where they were playing music, and he was bitching that he didn't get any monetary money from the popularity of this now, which he didn't sing the song, so I don't know what he's bitching about. But now he's on tour and he's singing the Milli Vanilli songs, but he sure the hell don't sound like the Milli Vanilli that we know. So it's just kind of funny. It was weird. Made me think of it. So
good old Milli Vanilli.
God, it's funny. But let's catch up. So the last thing, and we'll wrap it up because we got more things to do tonight. I know Tech is in there. That's what we're going to talk about. Cowboys Texans Monday night. I'm going to be there. So if any of you guys are going to be at AT&T, I'm coming in Friday. So if anyone's going to be around Friday, I got a bunch of stuff playing. I might even hit a basketball game. The Mavericks and Spurs are playing, so I'm going to see if we could scoop up some cheap tickets the day of the game and maybe check it out. I've never been to a basketball game there, so see what that's like. But any thoughts on this game, or you could give 2 shits?
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be more ugly, man. I've really got no expectations on it. I think that I think Houston's going to beat the living shit out of us. I don't think it'll be close. I mean, I just don't. They're getting Nico Collins back. Go figure. Yeah, I think it's just going to be. It's going to be a terrible Monday night game. I think I'd be surprised if we score more than 13 points. I think I picked a game earlier today. We had to pick them. We need some guys. I think I picked the Texans 34, Cowboys 13. It's going to be another ugly game. They'll beat up.
I've never bet on the Cowboys. I never bet against them. But part of me, after seeing what I saw last week, and then they announced that Cooper Rush is starting again, I almost want to bet everything I have on the Texans and given the points. I mean, that's sad to say. I'm just being honest. I don't see a path of victory with what they have. And it's not even the defense. I'm going to tell you, I know Zimmer gets some heat. You got to give him a little bit of slack because his defense has been absolutely annihilated. Plus, they did shit to improve it. So, I mean, he was asked to work with shit for most of the year. And aside from a few games, they've been respectable. And even with Parsons and the Eagles, I know the score got away, but 5 turnovers this week, 5 turnovers last week. And he had him in against Atlanta, which I know Atlanta's a hot and cold team, but he scored but 23 points or whatever it was. So I think the defense has got some fight in them, but I think they just kind of, you fight for so long, but the offense can't do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, at what point do you say, you know what, man, I just, you want me to give myself up for the team? You remember that?
Yeah.
And remember the Titans. I just don't think it's going to be good for Dallas. I offered my son an opportunity. I said, do you want me to just try and sell these and we'll fly home early on Sunday? He said, nah, we're already out here. We're not going to the Giants game. So I'm going to go. I hope they win. 0 expectations. I'm not even going to do a prediction because, like I told you, I can't on the air go against the Cowboys, but I also don't want to look like a complete idiot by being the guy that says Dallas is going to win because I look like a complete moron. So I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just hoping to have a great time. This is what I'll say. I want to have a great time with Cowboys Nation. We're going to try and make the best of the situation. We'll hang out. We'll be at Texas Live. Any of you guys going to the game, definitely hit me up. I'll be there Friday. We'll probably go to Texas Live a little bit on Saturday to watch some college football. We're going to watch NFL football on Sunday. Got a good afternoon plan to meet up with our old man Teague and stuff. So that'll be kind of fun and be able to talk a little Bama a little bit. So to make the best of the with very little expectations that anything positive is going to come out Monday night. Isn't that sad that this is where we're at?
It's sad, but it's the reality, man. It's the quick. I mean, I tried to bring you to that reality about 3 weeks ago. I tried to do it, and I know you was the optimist and you was holding on to it, but I saw this coming, man. I saw it coming a while back, and I said this is what was going to happen, and just wasn't no turning it around. That was even before the Dak Prescott injury. Now that the Prescott injury has happened, it's even more. That was the final nail in the coffin.
That was a nail in the coffin. That was a nail in the coffin.
I mean, at least when they had Dak, even when he was playing bad, you thought that maybe. Some things might start to gel down the deal. But now I said we were circling the toilet. Well, we're in the drain now, my guy. We're floating next to the turds down the damn sewer. So this season's over, man.
We're in the water. We're in the water in the Titanic, fighting for a lifeboat.
Yeah,
grabbing a jacket.
Exactly.
Man.
Yeah.
But you feel the same. We got a lot of heat from fans of other teams. It's like I said, I'm going to now tell what they did to us. And every time Washington loses, I get on TikTok and I'm just going to make fun of all of them, just like I told them they'd lose against Pittsburgh. And they all said they bookmarked my comments and they bookmarked my video that I did with the boys. And I came back. All I did, Kelly, after that game, I barely watched the Cowboys game. I sat and was drinking a cat. I just went through TikTok and I just talked shit to every single one of them that made a negative comment telling me how stupid I was. The Commanders are going to win and we're going to bookmark this game. And when it happens on Thursday, I'm going to do the same thing. But the beauty of Thursday is if it doesn't, then I flip to the E and I'm just going to sit there and talk shit. We're going to be the haters. Now we're going to be the haters. At least I don't know if you're going to be, but I'm going to be the haters. And if we win one game,
I'll embrace that role. I'll embrace that role right now. I mean, if that's all I can be right now is hate on somebody else, yes, I can do that.
And then at the end, we're going to say you had a better record, got a higher draft pick. We ended up on together because we know damn well ain't no one out of our division is going to the Super Bowl.
No,
it ain't happening.
I can go to sleep. I can rest my head on my pillow knowing that.
Yeah, that's for sure. So Cowboys Nation, hopefully you guys had fun. We try and make fun with it. Kelly and I said this is probably some of the hardest podcasting that live shows that we have to do because it's just really painful to get through these Cowboy things. So we try and find some topics, get some stuff next week. Maybe Cowboys win. Just laugh about it. I don't know. I wonder what the hell happened. But more than likely we'll be trying to figure something else out and see when the next shoe will drop on the Cowboys. So Hopefully Texas Tech is winning. Are they still winning?
They won. They won 96,
Oh, it's over.
96 to 40 something, 96 to like 45. So yeah, they whooped them.
All right. So would you draft Gentry? Will the last thing top 10 pick? No, I would not. I wouldn't. Not saying he's not good. I wouldn't. Kelly, would you?
No.
No.
I'm not taking a running back in the first round.
Yeah. I just
not in this draft. This draft is loaded. So
yeah. And I worry with tread on the tires, a lot of mileage, and I just worry if they
a lot
of
shit out of him, man. He's getting like 35 carries a game. Like, no.
Yeah.
I'm out.
I think running backs you can kind of get, but hit that subscribe, 260 plus in here, man. We appreciate it. Hit that subscribe on your if you haven't, head over to YouTube, hit the like on your way out, share with Cowboys Nation. We appreciate everything. Kelly, have a great weekend. Double X, I got you covered. We're gonna get some Tyson gear to show these young bucks. And so we got some young kids that need a lesson. Hopefully Jake Paul doesn't knock them out. We'll look stupid, but we're gonna get it done. So we'll have fun with it. You guys, Cowboys Nation, take care. Appreciate it. See you.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry. I need somebody.